The rain hadn't stopped since midnight. Ellie and Elliana stood under the Oshodi bridge, their arms wrapped around each other as the cold wind howled through the concrete pillars. Water dripped from their tangled natural hair, soaking the only gowns they owned, thin, worn-out clothes that clung to their shivering bodies. Then it happened. 3 boys, tall, wild-eyed, and dangerous, charged toward them through the foggy morning. They were the same boys who had tried to grab them before, the same ones everyone whispered about, hired by restaurant owners to chase off beggars like dogs. But today, the girls had nowhere to run. Their hearts pounded as their bare feet splashed through puddles. They darted through alleyways, dodged carts, and finally burst into the open road near a luxurious black Bentley. And there he stood, a tall man in a spotless white kaftan with deep red embroidery and a bright red cap. He looked like royalty. His gold wristwatch gleamed under the soft drizzle. His hand rested on the Bentley as if he was just about to enter. But when the girls ran to him, clutching his agbada, he froze. "Please, sir," Ellie cried, holding his arm tightly. "Please help us. They want to hurt us." "Don't let them take us," Elliana added, voice cracking. "Please, sir, we have no one." The man didn't respond immediately. He didn't look at their faces. His eyes had drifted lower to their wrists, to the bracelets, 2 old silver bracelets, worn and tarnished, hanging loosely on their small hands. His breath caught, his vision blurred. He staggered back a step, heart racing. Those bracelets. He had seen them before. Given them before to a lady 16 years ago. Oh my God. He didn't hear the boys retreat behind him. He didn't hear the traffic honking or the rain hitting the roof of his car. All he could see were the bracelets, and all he could feel was the past breaking through the wall he had built around it. He turned to them finally, eyes full of confusion and something else, something heavy. Who are you girls?" he asked slowly. "Why were those boys after you?" Ellie looked down, her lip trembling. "My name is Ellie. This is my sister Elliana. Our mum. She died. Her name was Jennifer." The man's body locked. Jennifer. That name. That night. "She told us before she died to find our father," Elliana said softly. "She said she met him one night at the University of Lagos. But we don't know him. We've been alone since she died." The man looked like the air had been pulled from his lungs. He touched his forehead, then stared at the ground. "Jennifer?" he whispered. "Bracelets. Twins." He slowly looked up. His voice cracked as he said, "My name is Maxwell Johnson." Ellie's brows furrowed. "Are you going to help us?" For the first time, Maxwell knelt down in front of them, ignoring the mud, the wet ground, the stares from passers-by. "Yes," he said, tears forming in his eyes. "Your days of suffering are over." He opened the back door of the Bentley and helped the girls in gently, wrapping his jacket around their freezing bodies. But as the driver turned the ignition, Maxwell gave him a new address. "Not home," he said. "Take us to Kingsville Medical Clinic. Now." As the car rolled away, Ellie and Elliana huddled together in the back seat, their eyes heavy with sleep, hunger, and confusion. Maxwell sat beside them, quiet, hiding the shaking of his hands. He had to be sure. He had to know. Were these girls really his daughters? At the clinic, he told the doctor a careful lie. "Please run a full medical screening," he said. "They've been living on the streets. I want to be sure they're healthy. And," he paused, lowering his voice, "I need you to run a DNA test, secretly." The doctor blinked. "Are you saying they could be your—" "I just need to know," Maxwell replied, his voice tight. The test was done quickly. The samples taken, the girls gently examined and given warm soup, new clothes, a soft bed to rest. Maxwell sat alone in the hallway, staring at the floor, waiting for an answer that would change everything. 2 days later, the results arrived. He opened the envelope with trembling hands. Then he saw it. Paternity result. 99.99% match. Maxwell's hands fell to his lap. Tears spilled from his eyes, not of sadness, but of shock, of guilt, of joy, of a pain that had been buried for 16 years. He had daughters, Not just any daughters, beautiful identical twins, living on the street, wearing the bracelets he had given their mother that one unforgettable night. He had prayed for a child for 10 years after his marriage. His wife had left, blaming him for their childlessness. And all this time, he had children. Maxwell stood and walked to their room. Ellie and Elliana were sitting quietly on the hospital bed, their hands in their laps. He knelt in front of them again. "My name is Maxwell Johnson," he said, voice thick with emotion. "I'm your father." The room fell silent. "What?" Elliana whispered, wide-eyed. "I met your mother, Jennifer, 16 years ago. She was beautiful, kind. We only met once, but I never forgot her. I lost her number the next morning. My phone was stolen. I searched for her for months. I never found her." He pulled the DNA result from his pocket and placed it in their hands. "I didn't know about you. I didn't know I had daughters. If I had known, I swear." Tears welled up in Ellie's eyes. She looked at her sister, then back at him. "Why did we have to suffer?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "We lived under the bridge. We had one dress. We begged for food. Every day." Maxwell wept openly now. "I'm so sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. But I promise you, your pain ends today." He opened his arms slowly. The girls hesitated, then ran into them, both of them crying. For the mother they lost, for the pain they'd lived through, for the father they'd finally found. Maxwell held them tightly, like he would never let go. And outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds for the first time in days. The gates to the Johnson estate opened slowly. For Ellie and Elliana, it was like stepping into a world that only existed in movies. The road that led to the mansion was lined with tall palm trees, and the front garden shimmered under golden morning light. Flowers in every color danced in the breeze. A fountain at the center shot water so high, it sparkled like diamonds before falling back into the pond. They were still holding hands. Their eyes were wide, their mouths slightly open. They couldn't speak. Maxwell sat beside them in the Bentley, quietly watching their faces as they soaked in every detail. His heart felt heavy with guilt, but also light with a strange peace, like something broken inside him was finally healing. "This is where you live?" Ellie whispered. Maxwell gave a soft smile. "Yes, and now it's your home too." The car pulled to a stop in front of the massive white mansion with tall glass windows and golden handles on the doors. Uniformed guards opened the doors and bowed slightly, but Ellie and Elliana flinched. Maxwell quickly stepped out and walked to their side. "It's okay," he said gently, holding out his hands. "You're safe here. No one will ever hurt you again." They hesitated. Then, slowly, Ellie took his hand. Elliana followed. The marble floor of the entrance hall was so clean, it reflected their faces. A chandelier as big as a tree hung from the ceiling. A staircase curved upward like something out of a fairy tale. Everything smelled like roses and vanilla, too clean, too perfect, and too unfamiliar. They were still wearing the new clothes Maxwell had given them at the clinic, simple jeans and sweaters, but even that felt like a costume to them. Just yesterday, they were sleeping beside empty bottles under a bridge. Now, they stood inside a palace. "Come," Maxwell said warmly. "There's more." He gave them a tour, the living room with golden-framed paintings, the softest couches they had ever touched, a dining room with a table long enough to seat a village. Their eyes landed on a wall filled with photos of Maxwell with politicians, celebrities, and even a former president. Elliana tugged her sister's sleeve. "Can you believe this?" Ellie shook her head. "I feel like I'm dreaming." Then Maxwell led them upstairs to a hallway with double wooden doors. He paused. "This used to be a guest room," he said softly. "But it's yours now, both of you." He opened the doors. Inside was a bright room with 2 white canopy beds draped in pink and cream fabric. A giant window let the sunlight pour in, revealing shelves full of books, a desk with 2 new laptops, and wardrobes already filled with new clothes, shoes, and backpacks. There was even a vanity table with matching bracelets displayed in a glass box. "Your bracelets will stay here when you don't wear them," Maxwell said. "They're special. They led me to you." Ellie blinked fast, fighting tears. "You did all this? In one day?" Elliana whispered. Maxwell chuckled softly. "No. I had this room fixed up for guests long ago. But when I found you, I made some changes overnight. But don't worry if there's anything missing. We'll add it." Elliana stepped forward, staring at the bed. Her voice shook. "I've never had a bed." Maxwell stepped back, giving them space. "Rest. Take your time. Later today, we'll talk about what you want, what you need, your education, your dreams, everything." He turned to leave, but paused at the door. "And one more thing," he added with a smile. "You're not my guests. You're my daughters. This is your home now." When he was gone, the girls slowly walked into the room and sat on the beds. The softness made them gasp. Ellie grabbed the pillow and hugged it to her chest, laughing and crying at the same time. "I don't even want to sleep," she said. "What if I wake up and it's all gone?" "It's real, Ellie," Eliana whispered. "I think this is real." Then their laughter faded. Ellie looked at the bracelets on their wrists. "Do you think Mom knows?" Eliana nodded, wiping her eyes. "She's smiling. Wherever she is. She brought us here." They lay back in silence, letting their bodies sink into the beds, letting the safety wrap around them. But even though they were safe now, their minds were still trapped in the past, in hunger, fear, rejection. It would take time. Over the next few weeks, Maxwell worked hard to help them adjust. He brought in private teachers to prepare them for the university entrance exam. He hired therapists to help them heal quietly without forcing them to talk. He made sure their days were filled with kindness and choice, not fear. He gave them back their girlhood. But as things settled into a calm rhythm, something unexpected happened. A woman from the past returned. Her name was Mirabelle, Maxwell's ex-wife. She had heard rumors about the twins in the mansion, and she was not happy. It started with a call one evening. Maxwell answered, expecting a business partner. Instead, he heard her voice cold and sharp. "So, you went and picked 2 street girls and brought them into our house?" Maxwell stood by the window, jaw clenched. "It's not your house anymore, Mirabelle." She scoffed. "Are you seriously telling me those things are your daughters, with no proof?" "I have proof. DNA results. You expect me to believe that?" she snapped. "You were so desperate for children. Now suddenly, 16 years later, 2 girls show up, and boom, you're a father." "They're mine," he said, voice low. "And even if they weren't, they're still human beings who needed help. Something you never understood." There was silence. Then she said, "We'll see about that." She hung up. Maxwell knew her well enough to understand what that meant. Trouble. And he had to protect his girls. Because now, the past wasn't just a memory. It was about to knock on their door. It began with whispers. First, from the staff. Then, from neighbors. Then the news. A bold headline appeared online just a week after Ellie and Elliana had moved in. Billionaire Maxwell Johnson, accused of fabricating DNA to adopt street girls. And right underneath it, a picture of Ellie and Elliana stepping out of Maxwell's car in front of his mansion, their faces blurred, but their story now public. Elliana saw it first. She froze, staring at the phone screen. "Ellie," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Look." Ellie rushed over and read the headline. Her heart dropped. Why would anyone say that? Before they could ask more questions, Maxwell burst into the room, a tablet in his hand. His face was flushed with anger. "You girls didn't do anything wrong," he said firmly. "Ignore the news. I'll handle this." "Who said it?" Ellie asked. "Why would someone lie about us?" Maxwell exhaled deeply. "Someone I once trusted. My ex-wife. Her name is Mirabelle." The girls exchanged nervous glances. Why would she lie? Maxwell turned away for a moment, thinking, "Because the truth hurts. She left me when we couldn't have children. And now, after all these years, I've found something more precious than anything I ever lost you. That bothers her. Tears began to build in Eliana's eyes. Are they going to take us away? No one is taking you anywhere, Maxwell said, his voice firm. You're my daughters. The DNA test is real. We'll show the world if we have to. But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, a woman in high heels and a grey designer suit marched through the gates of the Johnson mansion with a lawyer and a cameraman trailing her. Maxwell met them at the front door, his face unreadable. Mirabelle, he said coldly. You look older, Maxwell, she said, glancing around. Or maybe just tired of playing house with beggars. Maxwell clenched his jaw. You're trespassing. She smiled and held up a document. Court papers. I'm contesting custody over this mansion. You know we never officially divided the property. This house belongs to me, Maxwell snapped. I paid for it in full after the separation. You signed the documents. Her lawyer stepped forward. Actually, Mr. Johnson, there is a clause that... But Maxwell cut him off. You're not here because of some clause. You're here because you're bitter. Because for the first time in years, I'm happy, and it has nothing to do with you. Mirabelle's voice grew sharper. Those girls are a scandal waiting to happen. I've already spoken to the press. You'll lose everything. Your reputation. Your investors. Then let it all burn, Maxwell said. But I won't lose them. Just then, Ellie and Elliana appeared at the staircase above, watching silently. Mirabelle turned and looked up at them, eyes scanning their faces. They don't even look like you, she scoffed. Maxwell's voice thundered. They look like their mother. Her name was Jennifer. She died begging her daughters to find me. And they did. Mirabelle stared, speechless. I lost her. I will not lose them. She narrowed her eyes. We'll see who wins. Then she turned and left the cameras flashing as she strutted back through the gates. That night, Ellie couldn't sleep. She sat by the large window in their bedroom, watching the lights of Lagos twinkle in the distance. The pain in her chest wouldn't go away. Do you think we're causing problems? She asked softly. Eliana, half asleep, stirred. What? Maybe we don't belong here, Ellie whispered. What if they take everything from him because of us? Eliana sat up, hugging her pillow. We didn't ask to be born. We didn't ask for this. We're just trying to survive. But what if we survive and he loses everything? There was silence for a moment. Then Eliana reached under her pillow and pulled out the bracelet. This is the only thing we've always had. Mom said he gave it to her. That means something. Ellie nodded slowly. It has to. Maxwell wasn't sleeping either. He sat in his office, eyes red, staring at the court documents. For the first time in years, he felt afraid not of Mirabelle, but of losing the only chance he had to be a real father. He pulled out an old photo album, flipping through pictures from his university days. And then, tucked between 2 pages, he found something he hadn't seen in years. A Polaroid. A picture taken at the end-of-year student party at the University of Lagos. And there she was, Jennifer, wearing a green dress, smiling nervously, holding the 2 bracelets in her hands. He had forgotten that someone had taken that picture. His hands trembled. He scanned the photo, then picked up his phone. Hello? Samuel? Yes. I need you to come to the house. First thing tomorrow. We're going to court. The next day, Maxwell held a press conference, flanked by lawyers and holding the framed DNA result in one hand and Jennifer's photo in the other. He spoke directly to the world. I did not abandon my daughters. I never knew they existed. The woman I loved disappeared from my life before I could find her again. But she left behind 2 angels, my daughters. And anyone who dares to question that will answer to me, the press murmured. Reporters scribbled notes. Cameras flashed. But the headline the next day read, Billionaire father stands by street twins. They are my blood. Meanwhile, Ellie and Elliana were preparing for the next big step, university entrance exams. Private tutors came daily, guiding them through math, English, science, and logical reasoning. For the first time in their lives, they had access to books, internet, meals, peace. But even as they studied, Ellie's mind wandered. Would they truly be safe? Would the world ever stop seeing them as the poor girls under the bridge? And what if someone from the street came back? Because sometimes the past doesn't knock. It breaks down the door. The twins were finally starting to smile. It wasn't the big things, the mansion, the clothes, the sparkling bedrooms. It was the small moments. Breakfasts around the table with Maxwell, the sound of laughter between study breaks, the way their tutors praised them after solving difficult questions. But peace never lasts long when the past still has unfinished business. That peace shattered one Monday morning. It began with a knock at the gate. Maxwell was in his study when the security guard radioed in. "Sir, a group of boys are outside. They claim to know your daughters. They say they're from Oshodi." Maxwell's heart skipped. He stood immediately. "Bring them in. I want to see them." 2 minutes later, 3 street boys were brought into the compound, not the ones who had chased the twins before, but ones who had once shared the bridge with them. Their clothes were dirty, their eyes wild with hunger and curiosity. "Which of you is the boss?" the tallest one asked, looking around at the marble floor and polished pillars. Maxwell stepped forward. "I am." The boy's eyes scanned him up and down. "We just came to remind you, sir. Those girls you took in, they're not as innocent as you think." Maxwell's voice was ice. "What do you mean?" "Let's just say," the second boy said, "they owe us. We protected them, fed them, kept them safe, and now they're in a mansion while we rot under the bridge?" The third one smirked. "Unless they pay us, or something bad might happen." Maxwell's blood boiled. "Is that a threat?" "Just a suggestion," one of them replied, grinning. Maxwell walked closer, his voice calm but deadly. "You don't scare me, and if you ever come near my daughters again or speak their names, you'll face the full weight of the law." He snapped his fingers. His head of security appeared from behind a nearby column. "Escort them out, and make sure they understand they're never to return." As they were dragged away, one of them shouted over his shoulder, "Ask them about the night we saved them from Chief Benson. Ask them who really protected them that day." The gate slammed shut. Maxwell didn't mention the incident right away. He didn't want to shake their focus. Their university entrance exam was just 2 days away. He watched them study with so much hope in their eyes, so much determination. But that night, as they gathered for dinner, he brought it up gently. "Girls, were there people who helped you while you lived under the bridge?" Ellie nodded, chewing slowly. "Not many. Most people were cruel. Some tried to hurt us. But there was one day..." Eliana looked at her. "You mean Chief Benson?" Maxwell raised an eyebrow. "Who is that?" Eliana shifted in her seat. "He's dangerous. He comes to the bridge sometimes. He's a rich man with dirty business. He takes girls off the street. Nobody knows where they end up." Maxwell's chest tightened. "He tried to take us once," Ellie added. "That day we ran into the restaurant to beg for food. The 3 boys who usually chased us away saw him trying to grab us. They helped us escape, but later they said we owed them. We had nothing to give, so they turned on us too." Maxwell leaned forward. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" "We thought it didn't matter anymore," Eliana whispered. "We were just trying to survive." He reached across the table and held both their hands. "It matters. Everything you went through matters. You're not alone anymore. I will protect you. Always." The day of the university entrance exam arrived. Maxwell personally drove them to the exam center in Victoria Island. Ellie wore a pale blue blouse with a grey skirt, her hair in a neat bun. Eliana wore a light pink shirt and black trousers, her braided hair pulled into a ponytail. Their matching bracelets, still wrapped around their wrists, faded, but strong. As they stepped out of the car, other students stared. Some whispered, "Those are the girls from the news. Did you hear they used to live under a bridge? Now they live in a billionaire's mansion." The twins heard every word, but they walked tall, holding hands, heads high. They were no longer ashamed of where they came from, because it was the same road that led them to where they were going. The exams were tough math, twisted like a puzzle, English questions thick with tricky words, and science problems that tested every corner of their minds. But they remembered their mother's voice. Be strong. And they remembered Maxwell's promise. I believe in you. They wrote every answer with fire in their hearts. When they submitted the papers and walked out of the hall, the sun had already begun to set. Maxwell stood by the car, waiting. How did it go? He asked, arms open. Elliana jumped into his hug. I think we did it. Ellie laughed. I don't want to see another math equation again. They drove home, singing along to the radio, eating puff-puff and ice cream from the roadside. For the first time in their lives, everything felt right. But the joy didn't last long. The next morning, Maxwell received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a single photo. A grainy shot of Ellie and Elliana taken weeks before, under the bridge. But behind them, in the shadows, stood a man with a scar down his left cheek. Maxwell's hand trembled. He knew that face. Chief Benson. And written in black ink beneath the photo were 6 chilling words. I remember them. I want them. Maxwell's heart raced. He dropped the photo and rushed to the twins' room. They were still asleep, peaceful. He stood at the doorway, staring, his fists clenched. Someone was coming for them. And this time, he was ready. Maxwell didn't sleep that night. He sat in his home office, the photo of Chief Benson resting on the desk before him. The man's scarred face glared back, eyes like stone eyes that once hunted his daughters. Maxwell's fingers drummed the table. He picked up the phone. Activate full security. No one comes in or out without clearance. And I want every detail you can find on Chief Benson. His locations, businesses, everything. Yes, sir, came the sharp reply. He hung up, heart pounding. If Chief Benson was really after Ellie and Elliana, he wouldn't let it go easily. And this time, Maxwell Johnson would not be caught off guard. But fate had other plans. 2 weeks later, just as the girls were starting to relax after their exam, something magical happened. The university admission results were released. Maxwell gathered them in the living room. I have something for you both, he said, holding 2 printed letters. The girls sat up, clutching each other's hands. He handed the first letter to Ellie. Her eyes scanned it slowly at first, then faster. I got in, she whispered. I got in. To study what? Maxwell asked, grinning. Software engineering, she squealed, jumping up. And wait. She snatched the second letter from his hand. Elliana. Elliana read hers out loud. I got in too. Same course. Same school. The 3 of them laughed, hugged, and cried all at once. They had made it. From sleeping on cold cement under Oshodi Bridge to walking the halls of one of Nigeria's top universities, Maxwell kissed their foreheads. Your mother would be so proud. The girl's eyes softened. Can we visit her? Ellie asked. Please, Elliana added. We promised we'd take her with us. 2 days later, they stood at the Oshodi cemetery. The grave was simple. A white marble stone with fading letters. Jennifer Obina, beloved mother, brave soul, a heart too pure for this world. Ellie knelt beside the grave, placing a bouquet of yellow lilies. We made it, Mama, she whispered. Just like you said we would. Elliana added gently. He found us. Daddy found us. Maxwell stood behind them, silent tears streaming down his cheeks. He knelt too, placing his hand on the headstone. I'm sorry I wasn't there, Jennifer, he said, but I'll spend the rest of my life making it right. I swear. They stood there for a long time, and when they left, something changed. They were no longer just survivors. They were daughters. They were students. They were warriors of fate. Months passed. Ellie and Elliana thrived in school, not just as students, but as innovators. They built mobile apps to help underprivileged children access learning resources and soon caught the attention of international tech companies. But when those companies offered them high-paying jobs abroad after graduating as best students, they refused. This isn't just about us, Ellie told a reporter. This is about where we came from, Elliana added. They returned to Johnson's group and joined Maxwell's tech division. Together, they expanded the company into new territories. Soon, it was the biggest tech firm in Africa, but Chief Benson hadn't forgotten. One rainy evening, the family was invited to speak at a tech conference in Abuja. That night, as Ellie and Elliana stepped out of their car, dressed in elegant navy gowns with digital designs stitched into the fabric, a figure emerged from the crowd. A man in a black kaftan, scar over his cheek. Chief Benson. Maxwell saw him first. "Girls, back in the car. Now." But before the girls could move, Benson raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight," he said, smiling. "I just came to congratulate your daughters." Security began to move in, but Maxwell held up a hand. "Let him speak." Benson stepped closer slowly. "Funny thing about fate, isn't it? You never know where the road leads. You stay away from them," Maxwell warned. Benson chuckled. "Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to challenge the Johnson family, but I must say, they wore those bracelets like shields." He looked at the girls, his smile cold. "You're lucky, girls. Not everyone gets a second chance." Then he disappeared into the crowd. Security chased him, but he vanished. Maxwell turned to his daughters. "Are you all right?" Eliana nodded. "He can't touch us now." Ellie glanced at her bracelet. "It saved us once. It'll protect us again." Years later, Ellie and Elliana stood at the altar on the same day. Elliana marrying Jonathan. Ellie getting married to George. Two Nigerian cybersecurity experts they had met during a tech conference in South Africa. The venue was a garden over a calm river. Guests were dressed in soft lace and flowing agbadas. Violinists played soft highlife music, as Maxwell, dressed in his signature white agbada and red cap, walked his daughters down the aisle, one on each arm. Tears streamed down his face, not because he was losing them, but because he had finally found them. 2 years later, Ellie gave birth to a baby girl she named Adana. Eliana gave birth to a baby girl too, named Grace. And as the girls grew, they were told a story about love, about bracelets, about the bridge, and how even the poorest beginnings could lead to the most beautiful endings. What is your view about this story? Where are you watching from? If you enjoyed this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.